Kuzampo and a very warm welcome to Bhutan This Week, our weekly news magazine program with me, Kilayangtan. This week's top stories. National Council votes not to ratify the BBIN agreement. National Assembly to waive off tax on interest earned from fixed deposits. And glacial lakes in Lunana monitored 24/7 to reduce the risk of glacial lake outburst flood. The National Council did not ratify the Motor Vehicles Agreement for the regulation of passenger and cargo vehicular traffic between Bangladesh, Bhutan, India and Nepal. The House came to the decision on Tuesday this week after majority of the National Council members voted not to ratify. Some NC members said government did not conduct a comprehensive consultation with the relevant stakeholders before signing the agreement. The agreement was signed last year.
Tetap madeu thundo traffic nam sim kangel thundo se ransi netang tetap madeu thundo se digebe jungi hule duge khap ki mis gara rede sindulu garitani re chuyula ngache tang to sume gara lo re chuy debo dalu gara ke tap mide selab digebe ngache the yasin beila jachele jache yasin beis shunu bina te dari ke thakhaib dalu phige khab gar disu ngache na gago bong re khemi bemela beljor ki ming thogu be turu dumda chi chonde lesson 마치 개갑되는 다소 소대 남선 범에 탑고 배면 누가 홍래 보진 디차게 저 슈메 샤고베 개갑루 유로 미로 총 자쇼디 lokmeme lokmedi tato ngachera gi gekhabnal pha bangladesh lo tamaso duse shunila tato kadibe chabro ngachegi tamasobe ta gari nana ta di gi lokme pha taung so di ngara denjere masub se shuni gari nana om dalu di ngara di gari da chikha de ngachera gi mi theu mi da chikha chahe theu
게시 팀 겐자디 지속이 차주 둡다바진 개갑늘로 펜바디 갈지 두어진 땡 용소 조베 디다 디센주시 때가네 마제 세주네라 다 팀디기 네바디 같이 원님에 게시 겐자디 차주 둡다바진 네바디 같이 원님에 세와진 도르데베 주와진 데 네바디 라샤라 테니기 시님에 데 십틀레라 에샤 베곱두
Premature birth is considered as the number one cause of death among babies in Bhutan. Premature birth is when the baby is less than 9 months old at the time of birth. The country observed the World Prematurity Day on Thursday to prevent preterm births.
Filled with purple to represent hope, openness and create awareness, students of the Faculty of Nursing and Public Health came together to learn and understand more about preterm births. And Bhutan is a country with one of the highest number of preterm births in the South Asian region.
In our
country, 37% of the preterm birth contributes to the neonatal death, and this occurs because they are not aware of the prevention measures and treatment. From around 14,000 births every year, more than 1,300 are preterm births.
Past history, drinking alcohol and smoking and other health issues during pregnancy can lead to a premature birth. Doctors say even if the premature baby survives, the child suffers from lifelong diseases, hearing and vision loss and lung problems.
If the preterm baby is delivered in the hospital, the survival rate can be increased. Secondly, other health issues can be reduced when they grow up. For example, the kangaroo care, in which the baby and the mother has skin-to-skin contact, can also help reduce health problems. And there are other treatments, and we are creating awareness on it in 20 Dzongkaks.
The Health Ministry is developing the Every Newborn Action Plan to almost halve the neonatal deaths in the next 7 years. Sringzam, BBS News.
Import and sale of all types of seaweed will be banned in the country starting 15th of this month. The Food Safety and Regulatory Authority under the Agriculture Ministry found toxic level of arsenic and cadmium content above the maximum residue limits permitted in the food. The move is to ensure the safety of food consumed by the people.
Arsenic and cadmium
Two heavy metals are said to be found in the environment where there is heavy use of pesticides and chemicals. The metals are also found in areas where mining activities are carried out. Officials say food gets contaminated with these metals from the environment.
We had to ban the seaweed products because it contains high level of heavy metals which are harmful to human beings' public health, because these two heavy metals, cadmium and arsenic. Cadmium causes damage to lungs, kidneys, and it may damage our bones. Arsenic is classified as a human carcinogen, which means it causes cancer to human on long exposure.
The test for 6 samples of seaweed was conducted in Thailand and India in September this year by the Food Safety and Regulatory Authority. The sale of locally produced seaweed will also be banned if they are found to contain arsenic and cadmium. The authority will soon test the local seaweed. Most of the packaged seaweed sold in the market are imported from Bangkok. For Sonam Chodin, Pemadamge, BBS News.
Samtsi has one of the highest numbers of diabetes patients in the country. So bringing this to notice, the Health Ministry, in collaboration with Bhutan Kidney Foundation, observed the World Diabetes Day in the Dzongkhag on Monday this week.
Of 430 registered diabetes patients in Samtsi, 2/3 are women. However, health officials said the number could be higher, as people often do not get themselves screened from a health facility.
The theme for today is this year is Eyes on Diabetes, which mainly focuses on the screening for diabetes in the general population, as well as screening for complications in the people who are already affected by diabetes.
The founder of Bhutan Kidney Foundation said screening for diabetes complications is an essential part of managing all types of diabetes. However, there are challenges with follow-ups and also when patients do not conform to medical advices.
The patient, they really need to stick on what the expert advise. And this really lacks in our country. This is what we feel. If they are well disciplined in diet and then overall lifestyle, definitely, we don't need to go to their communities. So that will also enhance, their health well-being. At the same time, save the economy of our country.
In Bhutan, the estimated number of people living with diabetes is 33,000, with 1/3 of it undiagnosed. Health officials say cases of diabetes have been increasing in the country, mainly due to rise in risk factors such as overweight, high blood pressure, unhealthy diet, and inactive lifestyle among the Bhutanese. The government, on the other hand, has adopted a number of population-based strategies to address the growing burden of non-communicable diseases. This includes a formulation of a national policy for the prevention and control of NCDs, banning the sale of tobacco and smoking in public places, and policies on promotion of a healthy diet and physical activity. For Sonam Phunso in Samtsi, Tamchuzam, BBS News.
Finance Minister Namgyaldoji proposed to waive off tax on interest earned from fixed deposits. The National Assembly resolved to deliberate on the Income Tax Bill 2016 following the majority of members expressing their support through a show of hands.
Both individual depositors and banks will stand to benefit if the government's proposed tax waiver on interest earned from fixed deposit is approved by the Parliament later.
속주기 망을 인게나 쇼진 세빙디 대 같이 나로 야다 따니기 되네 다리 같이 대 픽스 디포지트 수면 인게나 아니기 끼기우 대 같이 다리 짜팀도 투덜로 대 같이 공법기 짜팀도 투덜로 대 다리 체 법에 세슈니라 다니 체 맵배 다리 대 다지 정말 용기 잡주 남신도 체 마법 손이기 되네 진행기 되네 대 짜팀디 주주기 되네 나 피도 세슈니라.
The Finance Minister added that the amended income tax bill will promote savings among the Bhutanese and lendings in the banks.
아저기 유황 순날로 대 속주기 망을데 야다 조달로 디기 땡아지기 때 균들로 펜다 bombe 톰미 메시슈니 숨바베달로 당자 슝기 카둘레 대 일롱왕제다 지가 뚠두기 톨로 아지기 레밋 부탄 스미디 대파 치 개합날로 차라나미기 된로 대 같이 뚜루수 코나기 속주기 망을 수수 나 따니기 샵주도서에 대 마투투베 중기 카둘레 자주나 디게 공기 뚜루수 나 따니기베 때 나치라게나 소주기 날로 자니기 샵도디 때 야라 전이기 유바 bombe라 유세슈닐라.
Currently, interest earned from fixed deposit is considered as individual income and is taxed under the personal income tax. According to the income tax rule, if the interest earned from a fixed deposit is 10,000 Newton and more, the individual has to pay 5% of the total interest income as tax to the government. Once the Parliament repeals certain provisions of the bill, this income earned as interest from the fixed deposits will no longer be taxed. But the government is expected to lose some 40 million Newton annually. In the meantime, fixed deposits have increased by almost 8 billion Newton in the last 1 year. Today, the total fixed deposit amounts to more than 39 billion Newton. This is Pasa for BBS News.
Judgments from courts need not necessarily be uniform, but it should be coherent. This is what judicial experts expressed during a regional anti-corruption seminar held in the capital.
The Chief Judge of Thimbu District Court, Kinle Namge, said laws are framed by parliamentarians, but its interpretations differ with individual judges. Citing an example, he said even judges hearing the same case in one bench of a court will differ from each other in their interpretations, views, and decisions.
We have a level of courts. As I said before also, like district court, high courts, the appellate court we have. If there has to be a uniformity in the judgment, then what's the use of having different level of courts? We can have one court.
A former judge and an anti-corruption expert from Germany said it is important judgments are coherent at any level of the judiciary.
When you have one judge deciding the case in a certain way, it needs to be clear if another court is deciding it another way, why is it doing so? And the court also needs to be aware that there's actually dissenting opinion in another court. And that was actually the problem, because sometimes judges in one region didn't even know about the cases.
The 14th regional seminar of the Anti-Corruption Initiative for Asia and the Pacific ended yesterday. Participants from 23 member countries took part in the two-day seminar. Changa Doji for BBS News.
The construction of Sarpang Dzong is estimated to cost 1 billion Newton, with the government of India providing 200 million. The second steering committee meeting of Dzong construction was held recently in Sarpang.
This is how the Sarpang Dzong will look like once complete. Sprawling in an area of 10 acres, the Dzong will boast of all modern facilities but with traditional architectural design intact. Project manager said the construction will start beginning next year. The new Sarpang Dzong is expected to be ready by 2023.
We got the clear picture of the estimate cost, and it is going for 1 billion as per the estimate cost. But that today's meeting has come with that we have to prioritize the work.
The Dzong will be constructed here where the present Dzongkhak Administration Office stands today. The present office will be moved to a newly constructed temporary office near the Zangtopelri by the end of December. The meeting finalized the establishment of project management facilities, usage of land, recruitment of labor, and procurement of construction materials.
There is no proper Dzong in Sarpang to cater for religious services. A proposal for constructing the Dzong was submitted in the 11th five-year plan to the government. With proper Dzong in place, it would help to preserve our age-old culture and tradition.
The Division of Conservation of Heritage Sites under the Home Ministry, in collaboration with the Sarpang Dzongkhak, will initiate the Dzong construction. For Karmawangdi, this is Sunampem for BBS News.
Following the Lugi Lake Glacial Lake outburst flood in 1994 in Lunana, major risk reduction works were carried out so far. Glacial lakes in Lunana have been fitted with sensors and monitored 24/7. In fact, the lakes are now monitored every 5 minutes to reduce the risk of any glacial lake outburst flood. The 1994 flood along the Pochu and Punasanchu Valley claimed over 20 lives and caused massive damages to properties and agricultural land. A partial outburst from Lugi Lake caused the 1994 flood.
The flood caused huge damages to our pasture land. The place called Mendata is a joint pasture land of Tsojong and Tenchuchiwo. Hundreds of our animals used to graze there, but the 1994 flood deposited sand in that area, and henceforth we faced shortage of pasture land.
Following the flood, numerous scientific researches of the glaciers and glacial lakes were carried out. The study found Tortomi Lake potentially dangerous. Tortomi, a glacial lake, is located right next to Rapstring Lake.
날래 주로 테마진 연카치 쇼디 가지마서 진 토토메디 소주 토토메디 랍스팅 카동.
The major risk is Tortomi Glacial Lake turning into a lake and merging with Rapstring and cause flood downstream. In the worst case scenario, we consider around 53 million cubic meters of flood water. So based on that, we have carried out the risk reduction works. But since it is a natural condition, we cannot exactly say or predict how major the flood will be. But we know there is a risk of flood.
From
2008 till 2012, a major risk reduction works were carried out on both Tortomi and Rapstring lakes. Water levels of both the lakes were lowered to reduce the risk of flood at the source.
When we lowered the water level by 5 meters, people downstream think we have done nothing much. But in 5 years, we have reduced the water level equivalent to that of 1994 flood. So we have reduced the risk by that much at the source.
Besides reducing the water level in the lakes, many early warning stations have been set up should there be any flood in the future. The lakes are now monitored every 5 minutes. Around 18 early warning sirens have been installed starting from Lunana to Wandi.
This is one of the automatic water level station. This is we have about 10 stations similar to this one on Fochu and Mochula. It's entirely Fochu, the Mochuna Gara. It's been covered. So what it basically does, it measures the changes in the water level. If there is a sudden drop in the water level, it means a gulf, or if there is a sudden rise, it means there is something happening. So immediately we get this information right in the control center in Wangbil.
The early warning system in villages like Tenche and Tanza in Lunana function differently than those in the lower valley like in Punakha. Most villages in Lunana are located just below the lakes.
Ngachigi malema system nalema cho big omchi tham thansa ma omchi ma ngachi inkena shuwachin decision making time yobala.
If there is flood, we have some decision making time in the lower valley. But here in Lunana, there is no decision making time. Therefore, our system will automatically trigger the sirens for the upper valley. So it is fully automatic. There is no other option than that.
Siren di on beni bebe automatic, fully automatic be shunila.
The Department of Hydromet Services also has 2 staff stationed in Lunana to physically monitor the lakes every week. Meanwhile, the Glaciology Division under the Department of Geology and Mines is also undertaking studies on various glacial lakes located at various river sources in the country annually. For Pema Namge, this is Gilyangden for BBS News. Civil servants in Lunana are bearing the brunt of high cost of living. Every commodity cost over 4 times more than the retail price. Civil servants therefore call Lunana a foreign land due to sheer high cost of living.
Lunana is officially 8 days' walk from the nearest road point in Gaza. Due to lack of motor road, almost everything has to be transported on horses and yak. The price of commodities, therefore, shoots up by more than 4-folds when it reaches Lunana. For example, a kilogram of salt costs a minimum of 200 Ngötom in Lunana. Similarly, a 25 kilogram of rice bag costs 6,500 Ngötom, and it cost over 10,000 Ngötom to transport a refilled LPG cylinder to Lunana. The price is affordable for the locals themselves due to good cash income earned through courtesy business. But civil servants living in Lunana are finding it difficult.
When we are in short of food stock, we manage it from the locals, as we know them since we have been here for many years. When our food ration gets exhausted, there is no other option than to borrow it from others. And when Labs come here, we buy food items from them and give it back. Since it is difficult for them to get the food stock here, it is not practical to pay them in cash.
Civil servants in Lunana said civil servants working in other parts of the country feel that they are saving money being in a remote area. But due to high cost of living, they said it is difficult to sustain with their monthly salary and high altitude allowance.
Allowances
The last year we got 7,000 allowance, but after Prime Minister visited Lunana, it has been increased to 13,000 Newton. Even then, since we have to live separately from our family and meet two expenses, it is difficult to meet the expenses. So it is completely a false notion that we are here to earn and save money.
Tiru kongi noksam nalo ngaji na tiru zo ondos.
Tanagi jubi so dolo ma timbu paro del ma thum khalba demi ki jub se kachi no me zo a khundia nami sem gato to.
Civil servants in other places like Thimphu and Paro think that civil servants here are leading a happy life. They say we come here in helicopters and get allowances, but one gets to experience the real life situation only when we reach here in Lunana.
Most civil servants in Lunana transport essential food items from Gaza. They also depend on layups who trade essential commodities in Lunana twice a year. There are around 20 civil servants serving in various offices in Lunana. Compiled for Pema Damge, Srindama Galton, BBS News.
Monitoring illegal fishing in Punasanchi River in Wandipoda is becoming increasingly difficult. As a result, the Forest Division in the Dzongkhag is now involving the community in their effort to address the rampant issue.
Over 60 foresters from Wangdi and Punakha organized a day-long awareness program to discourage illegal fishing yesterday. They urged hoteliers, meat shop owners and people residing nearby the river to stop buying illegal fish and report to the forest office of any such case.
Fishing is illegal according to the rule, and even when we look at it from the conservation point of view, we should discourage illegal fishing. There are many endangered species like golden mushir and brown mushir here in the river.
Forest officials said they intercept 2 to 3 cases of illegal fishing every day. The foresters seize the fish and impose fine on the offenders as per the rules. If the fish are alive, it is released back into river.
If the government could impose strict penalties, like so far they have just been imposing some penalties and they've been released, they've not been detained, and that's why people seem to take it lightly, because if they are fined this time, they could make it up the next time.
As part of the awareness program, the foresters in groups covered the fishing areas from Rimchu in Punakha till Kamichu in Wangdi. Compiled for Komal Kharka, Srindama Gelson, BBS News.
Well, that is all we have for you this week. Thank you for joining us. This is Gili Yangden saying goodbye.